the living coaches that I still have, and there are a lot of them, I still talk to them. I still text with them. I get text messages all the time from them. And there's this like mentorship they had towards me, and they played a huge part in my life and the way that, like, honestly, the way that like I'm raising my family, right? Or I coach my players because of the impact they had on me, good and bad.
Chris Burgess, welcome to Beyond the Game. My name's Mike Lacey, and I'm really pumped because a long time ago, not that long ago, because you're still young, but I remember as a fan of BYU paying a lot of attention to Mr. Chris Burgess, a McDonald's All-American. And this is before, I mean, a lot of the people in our audience don't know that we used to receive newspapers on the driveway every day, you know, and there were sports sections, and that's where you got your news instead of Instagram. Or Chris, you were a McDonald's All-American, big deal. Welcome to, and even a bigger deal now, a mentor and a coach. Welcome to Beyond the Game.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Way too much of an intro.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything, dang it. As a fan, I mean, Chris, you said you're from Irvine, California.
Mm-hmm.
And so Southern California is a hotbed of sports.
Yeah.
And a McDonald's All-American. Everyone was recruiting you. And then who were your final two schools you were choosing between?
My
final ones.
Yeah, well, I took my visits to BYU. I took my visit to Kentucky. That was Coach Pitino. And then Kansas. And Duke.
Wow.
And then I canceled a visit with Utah, with Coach Majerus at Utah, ironically. Right. So those are kind of my, and then UCLA. I put UCLA kind of as my top
Who was
six.
the coach at UCLA?
It was Coach Harrick, Jim Harrick.
Oh, we had Jim Harrick on the.
Great coach.
Yes.
Just won the national championship my sophomore year in high school, so 1995. I graduated in 97. So that was when Ed O'Bannon, Charles O'Bannon, right, Tyus Edney. So they were on top of the world.
They were.
Went to as many home games as I could. As a kid, so I actually loved watching those.
And Irvine, I mean, that's not far from.
Not far, and especially as a kid going to Poly Pavilion, I would drive 3 hours if I could to watch that team play. There was some investigations going on, and Coach Harrick had just got fired. Literally, I want to say before my senior year started, where it was kind of in disarray or unknown of who was going to be the coach. Lavin had just been Steve Lavin had just been named.
There were some controversies about that too, because I know their family. My son plays at Southern Virginia. Okay. His roommate is a Harrick.
Okay.
Cade Harrick.
Okay.
Great. And so there were some controversies to that whole thing that was maybe more political than it was real.
It was, as a 17-year-old kid, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that Coach Harrick was no longer there, and who's going to be the coach. And it's one of those things where I don't want to wait till spring to sign. I want to know where I'm going into my senior year. That's a huge what if Coach Harrick was around, especially because that Southern California class had 5 McDonald's All-Americans, Baron Davis, who ended up going there, myself, the Jaron and Jason Collins, twins that played at Stanford in the NBA for a long time, and Eric Chenoweth, 7'1", kid who played at Kansas for 4 years for Coach Roy Williams. So it was a really good class, and it's you want to keep your local product, right, as UCLA, especially when it's that good. And so they were fine, obviously, with Barron and whoever else they signed. But it was one of my top schools that just had to. That was a visit I had to cancel because there was a lot of unknowns.
But Chris, I mean, when you talk about the blue bloods of basketball back then and still, you were being recruited. What did that feel like as a young, you say 17-year-old? we're not used to all these accolades and everything.
Honestly, like it's a little overwhelming. You're in awe because I grew up a college basketball fan. I grew up love watching the March Madness, like all kids.
I was a John Wooden kid.
There you go.
I love John Wooden.
Yeah, and so like when you see like Coach Pitino in your your living room, and you see or Coach K's in your living room, or Roy Williams in your living room, you're in awe a little bit. And also like you're holding on to every word they say because there was so much wisdom and there were so many like really, really good things. I remember my parents trying to write everything down because they were learning so much from
Are your parents athletic? I mean, were you athletic?
My dad was, right? My dad was an athlete. I think he played at BYU on the freshman team. Went on his mission, didn't make the varsity back in an era where there was a freshman team, right? And you could only play your last 3 years of college. So my dad went to American Fork, grew up right here. My mom's a musician. My mom's a full musician, plays cello, plays piano, still does. She's in her 70s. She's still a vocal music teacher to this day.
Really?
Yeah. That's 70.
Is she here in Utah Valley?
Yep, she's here in Highland. Right. Yep, she's right here in Highland. So both my parents, they were in Southern California a long time. Four of their 5 kids moved to Utah. So about 8 years ago, they basically sold their home in Irvine, California, and moved here back to their roots in Utah County. So yeah, so they're here. But yeah, so like to go back to your question about the Blue Bloods, it was incredible. And then going on visits, right? I got to go to Kentucky's like Midnight Madness, and just like I'd never seen anything like that before, where thousands of people were waiting outside
in the preseason,
Yeah, and then at Duke, I got to go to an exhibition game, and it's you see the Cameron Crazies, and I went to UCLA games all the time, right? In the Pac-10, right? Which was, obviously like Arizona's coming in town, and USC and Arizona State. So that was really fun for me. So you're overwhelmed, you're in awe, but you're also like super excited to get back in the gym and work because like you want to just be a part of it, but you want to be like a big part of it. So.
And you do. I mean, those aspirations are just, they grow within you. It's like a seed that, and you get that feeling, that excitement, that anticipation. So here I am, and I really grew up in Northern California. I didn't grow up a BYU fan.
Yeah.
We were converts to the church, but then I attended BYU. I chose between UCLA, Cal, Stanford, and BYU.
There you
go. For football, obviously.
Yeah.
But and then you become loyal to your alma mater. So who are you loyal to, Duke or Utah?
I think especially
or all of the
I think all of them, especially in like, for example, at the Final Four this past year when we didn't make it. I reached out, like there's this Duke alumni kind of brotherhood that you can get tickets. And so I get tickets with the Duke side and I'm sitting with all former Dukies, right? Players, their families. And so cheering for Duke. I think that like, especially in this day and age, and as the older I get, I'm just grateful to have been part of both programs. That I feel like I can cheer for both. Now, being at BYU, it's hard. It's my loyalties are because of the rivalry are BYU, but it's easy. It's easier to cheer for Duke unless we match up with them at some point at BYU. But it's hard, especially when again you got the BYU blue, and my family and I are all in on that. But this past year, when the Final Four was going on, we were cheering for Duke,
and our team this year was so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, what is going on? A lot of people talk about Kevin Young, player development, but I look at you and the player development that you have been doing, plus the recruiting that you do, are bigs. I mean, it's all right. I'm gonna say something that maybe is more uninformed than anything. I love Fousse.
Yeah,
right? Fousse had this capacity with his power and strength. I'd be surprised if he couldn't be a defensive end in the NFL. Dude is so strong.
You would know better than me, but he is so strong. He's so powerful. He's got great plays, really low to the ground.
You can't push him.
You can't move him. He's 6'5", barefoot, maybe, and you can't block him.
And yet he can jump.
He can jump, and he's got those long arms. He's got great timing. He's got a beautiful touch. So like he's able to kind of just throw that little bunny hook over you, and you just like, how is he getting?
How the heck did he do that?
Yeah, but he's been that way his whole life, right? And so he is. I got to coach him 2 years.
Charles Barkley was more like that?
Yeah, I think, but
not
Charles
as powerful.
Not as powerful, but Charles was more kind of ball in hand, get by you and just dunk on you. Where Fousse is more like, hey, I'm going to catch it on this block and I'm going to get to the middle. And then I'm going to.
Or was Moses Malone?
Maybe more Moses, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Fousse is a one of a kind. But it was fun 4 years to kind of watch them.
But then we got in against the Houstons of the world.
Yeah.
Where they're just really big and quick and tall and jump.
Yeah.
And so that's where Keba came in. And so, I don't know, as a fan, I'm saying Chris Burgess is working with these guys to develop their talents. Tell us about those contrasts between Fousse and Keba.
Yeah, Fousse is what's great about Fousse
and I love them both.
Yeah,
trust me.
But it also allows us to play 2 different styles. And so when you're scouting against us, it's like 2 different defensive game plans, right? Because it's like when Keba's in the game, it's a lot of pick and roll or a lot of screen away, and then he's on the rim. There's a lot of rim running, right? And then when Fousse comes in, throw it to him on the perimeter, and you're kind of playing 5 out. So
let him back a guy.
Or like he's making passes, right? He's making dribble handoffs. Now you can throw it to him on the block, and then we can hold space and let him go to work, right? And so you're game planning for Keba, which is pick and roll, lob threat, Egor picking guys off, down picking guys off, or you're scouting for Fousse, which is do I pressure him on these dribble handoffs? Do I back up and clog it? And then how am I going to guard in the post? Am I doubling? Am I playing one-on-one? Am I staying with shooters? And so it makes the game super fun. And then you watch a team like West Virginia, like the second time we played them in Provo, they were like, you guys are not taking threes. You're not doing it. So you can play pick and roll all you want, or you can play post all you want. We're going to stay with shooters. We're going to create a 2-on-2 situation. What does Fousse do? He has 20-something points, right? So that makes it really, really fun. So that's why Fousse plays a ton of that game, because that's what the identity of the game gave us. So great kids, love working with them. We're working a lot right now. Keba, you'll love this. Keba's off-season plan so far has been all perimeter work, meaning
how far is the perimeter for Keba?
It's more of getting comfortable. It's all the way out.
Like at 10-12 or
no,
it's all the way out to 3?
It's to the 3. And the reason is getting him comfortable with the ball in his hands, so that when, like Ali Khalifa, when he gets that ball on the perimeter, he's so comfortable making the pass.
Ali was amazing and seeing the backdoor pass.
Yeah, so we want Keba to be comfortable because if you watch Keba this past year and he's taking huge steps, he gets the ball and he kind of is straight up and he's like, someone come take this ball from me, right? And that's just his lack of reps or, whatever it is in terms of playing on the perimeter. So now I'm having him, he's doing everything he needs to do in terms of playing on the roll, posting up, rebounding the ball, rim running, setting good screens, good angles. But now what we're doing is we're mixing in some he's going to come off a ball screen. So he's handling it. He's setting a guy up, someone's screening for him. He's coming off it. He's making a pass. He's receiving it. And he's quickly going into a dribble handoff. We just want him comfortable with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Right? So hopefully this coming season, he doesn't feel as awkward at that. So we talked about that. Coach Kevin Young and myself and our player development staff was like, Keba's number one thing this offseason is his perimeter skills to get him comfortable. So I'm not saying Keba's ever going to come off ball screen. He's probably not going to take 1-3. This whole offseason, he's going to get more and more comfortable.
You know what? I hope he does.
Plays. Yeah.
More comfortable making plays.
Plays.
And I'd love to see him out there one day. In your preseason, you don't have the easiest preseason schedule.
No, we do not.
But, you might get one of those teams that, okay, this is going to be a gimme game.
Yeah, he'll be open.
It'll be fun.
He'll be open if he wants to shoot 3. He'll be wide open.
But the reason I say that, now, full disclosure, when Keba came to the U.S., our son Luke was playing at American Heritage. Okay. Keba and Luke played on the same team. I speak Spanish.
Okay,
so I tried to communicate in French because back then Keba didn't.
No, not great.
Didn't speak English. No. But a great kid all the time. Great heart, wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And in fact, I saw you and Coach Pope come in and you were not recruiting, but
evaluating.
Evaluating.
Yeah.
And he was Keba.
Yeah.
Even back then, there was a game, and I think this was like the equivalent of a 9th grade, basketball game. And there was a game, we were in Saratoga Springs or something, and they passed it to Keba on a lob, It wasn't even a lob, but I don't know why he did a 360 dunk.
Yeah, because he can.
And because he can.
Yeah.
And all of us, especially the other team, were in awe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like when we first both came over back to BYU, me back to BYU, him for the first time, and we're doing a summer workout, and it actually went viral on our official BYU Instagram social media page, and someone threw a pocket pass.
All right, tell me what a pocket pass is.
Pocket pass basically be like, the guard drives, he penetrates, he breaks the 3-point plane. That big's rolling, right? The big's rolling. So the guard makes a little
screen and roll
pass, a little bounce pass.
Okay.
And Keba catches it, and Max Triplet, bless his soul, right? Just got there from snow. He's never seen anything like this before. Anyway, Keba made this dunk where it was like Dwight Howard's dunk, the Superman, right? He takes off and just throws it in from, I don't know how many feet, 6-7 feet outside, and just boom, throws it in. And the whole gym's jaw dropped. I have it on video. The whole gym was like jaw dropped. And if it was an AAU, everybody would have ran on the court, but it's not, right? Even like the NBA guys who came over, like Coach KY, Jordan Brady, Will, everyone's just like jaw drop. And there was like 2 people in the gym that didn't move because they'd seen it before, and it was me and Keba. Because I was like, you guys, and I kind of walked around, I was like, you guys have no idea. Like he did this every single day, right? He did this every single day, like the past 2 years. He'll do things that like you just have never, like the fans saw it this year with his blocks. Oh my God, it's just another Tuesday for Keba, right? Like he just does these things.
Another Tuesday.
He just does things that like you don't teach, you can't teach. But because of his God-given athletic ability, his unbelievable timing and anticipation of where the ball is going, he has a very good knack of where the ball is going, not where the ball is. And then he's just floating in the air. So he does some things that for 2 years I got to admire, and it was awesome for the fans at BYU to see it and to like embrace him as this like one of theirs.
And he's embraceable. I mean, like I think most of your players, most of the kids coming into our school now, whether they're members of the church or not, but I want to go back to Keba.
Yeah.
Because this was a big game. I don't know if it was Arizona, but I think there was a steal.
Iowa State.
Was that?
Iowa State on the road, game. Overtime, double overtime.
And I'm watching, and the guard is out ahead. He's going to have an easy layup, but Keba is like a lion. He's like a lion. He is just, gliding behind him, and you could tell the timing was there. Yeah. He was going to block that layup.
Yeah.
I don't care if the guy was going to try to dunk.
Yeah.
We've
broken down that play so much as a staff, and it's a baseline out of bounds play where we're on offense, right? And Egor's got the ball. Keba's setting a screen. So Keba's one of the lowest guys. There's 10 guys on the court. The guy who's furthest away from where Keba blocked it was Egor because he's taking the ball out on the baseline. And Keba's probably the second lowest. So he's the second
furthest.
Yeah. So Egor's like, oh crap, right? No one's open, so I'm gonna throw it to the safety. So we run a play. There's 3 options.
And our safety wasn't there.
And it was a bad pass, and the guy who stole it like kind of just read it. So he steals it, and like everyone kind of was like, oh man. And you see Keba's jets, and if you watch it, he has to slow down. He caught him so quick.
I saw that. That's
why
I
say
he
slow down just to time up the steps. And then I remember being on the bench, and be like, oh, he's getting this. And then the guy tries to dunk it, and he blocks from behind, and you just watch the bench at Iowa State. Like I felt like that's where the game was like decided. Like, oh, we're gonna win this, right? Like just because I think that would have put them up 3 maybe, and then now they're feeling good. We probably got to call a timeout. The crowd's going crazy, but instead, you just one of those moments when you got to quiet the crowd as much as you can on the road. Not only to quiet them, but it was like oohs and ahs, right? And so it was awesome, right? It was a great play by Keba. And then we end up winning the game and, continue to ride that momentum in that streak. But, man, there was a lot of great things from that play.
What a fun season,
yeah,
Chris. I mean, seriously. And, we've got this new guy. I hate to see Fousseyni.
Yeah.
What a fun player to cheer for. But now this Xavion Staton.
Yeah, Xavion.
Xavion.
Yeah.
And actually, we were talking about, and I didn't know if it was Kennard or Kennard.
Yeah, Kennard.
But you said there's another name.
Yeah, so he goes by Moo.
He goes by Moo.
Yeah, you can call him Moo or Little Moo. Big Moo is his dad, right? So his dad's, because Kennard Davis Jr., but it's like Kennard Moo Davis. But his dad is Big Moo, and he's little.
And he's
we call
little
him
Moo.
So is Moo.
How tall is he?
6'5", 6'6".
So he's real little.
Yeah, real little. And if you, I think one of our assistant coaches, Brandon Dunson, tweeted, like the Missouri Valley Conference where he came from, right, is it's like the Mount West, one of the top mid-major conferences. And when players that come out of that conference in the portal, Brandon tweeted out something. You guys have to look this up. The success rate of these top Missouri Valley transfers.
Really?
And the success they have at the high major because it's such a good and difficult conference. And so when we scour the portal, there's a couple conferences that are mid-majors we look at.
You want to pay attention to.
Missouri Valley is one of them. Mountain West for sure, another one. Very well-respected, athletic, well-coached conference. So it's like the full package. So when he became available, obviously playing for Southern Illinois Salukis, Missouri Valley, that's got great teams. We were really high on him for those reasons. So we're excited about Moo. I think he brings a unique, I think that he was a 3-level scorer. He in our like he could play 2-3. He can play 2-3. I think in a pinch, he can actually have the ball in his hands, play some 1, which he did a little bit last year. But the best part about it is he can dribble, pass, and shoot, right? And so with the team we have coming, we feel like we have for sure 4 guys on the court at all times that can do all 3 of those things. And then we have elite rim runners, rim rollers, rim protectors in both Keba, Xavion, Hadim, right? And then if we want to play small ball, you have Mihailo Boskovic out there playing with his hair on fire at the 5. So, yeah, so we feel really good.
He's a fun player.
He's fun. He competes. The Serbians, man, they play a little crazy, a little wild, but they're fun to watch. They're fun to cheer for.
Hair on fire. I have not heard that.
Yeah, he plays with his hair on fire.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina.
There's urgency. I've coached every year for the next few years, both the BYU, Utah. I've had 1 to 2 Serbians on my team. First of all, they're amazing people. They got great personalities. They're fun. They love basketball there, right? There's a great coaching tree in the Serbian, kind of in that.
And wasn't Kresimir Kosic?
Croatia, right? So
okay, right next door.
Yep.
Same,
so there's
same
still that
people.
school of basketball, and so they compete. They have to. When they come up in the youth program, they are coached in a way where you compete. There's urgency at all times, and so that's how he plays. So I say hair on fire. So Mihai's a great kid. So.
I mean, but you look at just his personality on the court, he looks like a happy, smiling.
He's great, and then he's also like another kid on the team that might not play a game or play 3 or 4 minutes a game. He's up on the bench doing all the hand gestures that you do after makes, and he's basically cheering his teammates on.
Sure.
So you got to have guys like that, and that's what makes him super special. So so we kind of see Moo as being a guy who competes for minutes at that too. We brought him here for a reason. We think he can really help, and he can space the court. He can come off the ball screens. And we really think he can defend. We really think he can defend it because we lose our, 2 of our best defenders, and obviously Mowat, Mag, and Trey Stewart.
Right.
So we felt like that was a hole we had to fill
out on the perimeter.
Yeah, on the perimeter. So you're going against a guy like Caleb Love or Curtis, right? Go guard that guy, right? And it's not going to be perfect, but go guard that guy. And so we feel like Moo is one of those guys who can do that. We feel like we have other guys, but Moo is a guy that we target for that reason.
I'm going to come back to Xavion. But, last year was an interesting year because you had some offense. It was almost like you were platooning your guards.
Yeah, totally. And we did. And I think that's what's great about kind of mixing the NBA world with the college world is they have different lineups, optimizations, and they use the analytics, and they use based game by game of who they're playing against. And a lot of times is before a game we're meeting as a staff. It's like, this is gonna be a big Dawson game, right? Or this is gonna be a big Dallin game, or this is gonna be a big Egor game. And so we can kind of, when we're looking to attack, right? Us offensive coordinators looking to attack from an offensive standpoint, the opposing team. We're really lucky last year because we had so many different guards that we always knew Richie was going to be out there, Egor was going to be out there, but we knew kind of these guys off the bench who was going to be a big game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many things and what a fun basketball team you had last year. But now, I mean, the how do we manage expectations, Chris? Because
it's hard.
What you're doing with all these guys coming in is we all expect you to be undefeated and win the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I think if you're around Coach Young, I think that he has a ton of expectations for his team, right? And he wants those expectations. And we got to the Sweet 16 last year, and it's just like, you got a taste of it and you want more, right? You want to take a team to the Final Four. And we wanted to, upgrade our talent. As good as that team was, we felt like, man, we need to upgrade our talent, right? If we want to beat the Alabamas, if we want to compete with the Houstons, we got to upgrade our talent a little bit. And we felt like we did that. Now, we have to, our expectations are really high. You bring in the number one player in the country and a potential number one pick, and you bring back a Richie Saunders, you bring back a Keba, you bring back obviously Dawson Baker, and then you're filling in with like Xavion and Kennard, and I know I'm leaving guys out, Nate Pickens and Tyler and Xavion. So you want those expectations, but it's one of those things where it's like, all right, one day at a time. Right. So a lot of things we're doing this summer.
This is the time of year when you're doing that.
Yeah. So we're doing player development. We're doing some offensive, defensive, like breakdown through and through combinations. And then we're playing. I didn't mention Rob Wright, too. We're bringing Rob Wright, who's
I was going to bring him up for Baylor.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Top freshman of the year, or one of them.
5-star.
And obviously, he must be quick, and so he'll be able to do multiple play defense.
He can do
and
a lot.
Run an offense.
He's phenomenal. And then,
right?
He absolutely destroyed us in the Marriott Center. My favorite thing about him is, how many times? There's like 3 seconds left. He drives it. We're up 2, and he gets fouled. You got a freshman in front of 19,000 fans. Didn't even touch the rim on those free throws.
Just switched it.
Yeah, so exactly when you see a guy like that, I've been around this game pretty long.
Ice in their veins.
It's a talent to have that kind of ice in your veins to like want that moment. It's not for everybody. So that was one of my favorite things about him. Like if you look at Rob Wright when he was at Montverde Academy, which is that senior was
in Florida. Yeah, that is, and in the nation, that's maybe the top best.
Yeah, and it's the best high school team ever assembled. Right. So it was Derek Quinn, who'll be a top 10 pick this year from Maryland. Cooper Flagg will be the number 1 pick. Asa Newell, right, from I think Georgia. Liam McNeely from UConn be a top 15 pick. I'm leaving guys out, and then that team, the junior year was good, but the senior year they added Rob. And that became the best team ever. And it's not because he came in there getting 25 points a game. It's because he came in there and was a point guard and controlled the game, right?
All right.
Need that.
Yeah, a point guard. And that's where, as a fan.
Yeah.
And I love basketball.
Yeah.
If I were as tall as you, I hope I would have played better.
Yeah.
But I was the football player who had to cover Bill Cartwright.
Okay.
That was my age.
Yeah.
And they were the school right next to us. So from junior high to high school. But anyway, I love basketball. And when I look at your team that you assembled last year and now even an upgrade of assembly, how do these guys split time? I mean,
great question.
Because egos, selfishness. When I've met the kids on your team, I sense that there's more willingness to share.
Yeah, I think it starts with the recruiting process of being super honest and upfront, right? No promises. Right. There's no like, hey, we promise you're going to play here. You can't. And so I just think that like that's a recipe for disaster throughout the year to be able to manage it. So the biggest thing in the recruiting process is like, here's what our roster is so far, right? You have an opportunity to come in here and compete. Like there's going to be competition every single day, right? And like if you want to be a part of something like that in a winning team, this is the place for you. But if you want to, be guaranteed 30 minutes, like don't come here, right? Go somewhere else. And we lost a few kids in the portal because of that, because they wanted to go to a place where
they could play more.
They're going to play 30 minutes, right? So I think the honesty and the upfront and the like directness from the head coach and the recruiting coaches from the start, super important. Right now, that still doesn't make it very 100% easier. But now it's the communication and the relationships that you're building throughout the year, the honest feedback, the positive feedback, the film watching, right? So that these guys are always staying ready no matter what minutes they get, and that first 2 or 3 box scores coming out, they're not ruined by it, right? So like I just think it's this culture you have to build with the communication, the culture you have to build. We're like, hey, I'm going to compete against who we're inside the lines, but we're also going to do stuff outside the lines, right? And I think that's what made last year's team so special is you got guys like Mihailo or Trey Stewart, Elijah Crawford cheering for everybody was on the court, and when their time was called, they came out there and they performed, right? So it's not easy. That's why they pay Kevin Young the big bucks, right? Because at the end of the day, he's got to manage
I
it.
hope you're making some, bro.
Look, like at the end of the day, like our job on the bench is throughout the season is to make sure, we're building these guys up, we're communicating with them, we're pushing them, we're watching film with them so that they stay ready. We're not in charge of playing time by any means. But yeah, it's something that's going to have great days, and sometimes there's going to be some managing days, right? And so that's just part of sports.
Well, managing expectations is a big deal, whether it's in the locker room or for us as fans. For example, last year I was really pumped about the team you were putting together, and top this, top that, new coaching staff, and yet at the beginning of the season, especially the Big 12, we had some losses, And so it would have been easy to kind of, hang our head, or it's not going to be as great as we thought. Yeah. And yet, how did that turn out? Was there a transition period?
There was, but I think it's a combination of the transition period of understanding what the Big 12 was about, the physicality, the athletic. Because the
kids you're recruiting internationally understand that.
Yeah, and the other thing is like our non-conference strength schedule wasn't great. Right. So obviously Ole Miss, top 25 team, NC State, our ACC team that's going to be really good this year. They just had a down year coming off a Final Four. It's had a down year. Didn't really push us. So we go on our first road test and we just get cracked. Right. Yeah. And you can kind of see it coming. You got two freshmen out there playing big minutes, and they didn't understand the level of physicality, the noise. Right. So now when season starts, I think we open up with ASU and after the Christmas break, and we played great. Then I think we go on the road to Houston, and it's loud there. They're physical. They're picked to win it. They're a top 5 team. They crack us from the very beginning. And so I think that you're learning a lot. We weren't panicking. We were keeping everyone in the boat. We were learning from how the league was. We were learning about how much pressure they're going to put on Egor. We were learning about lineups, what works together. We were learning so much about ourselves because we were finally hitting adversity, right? And we only felt that adversity really one game against Providence. Even though we lost Ole Miss, it was those back-to-back games where we lost in overtime, but we have to turn the page because we played the next day, right? So I really feel like this year's non-conference, we calculated, we're going to have a better team, but we got to have more adversity-type games where we're challenged and pushed, and maybe we get crushed. Maybe we have a big win that we go into conference play being like, we've been on the road, or we've been in an atmosphere. We've been against this athleticism. We play. So, I think it's a combination of everything. And then, look, at the end of the day, when you're starting a freshman point guard, he's going to go through growing pains.
He will.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But by the time they're in their game 18, 19, 20, they become sophomores.
How did he handle that? Egor was so fun to cheer for.
Yeah.
And yet he had some unbelievable skills that will obviously translate into really good strengths in the NBA. And yet, given his size, his height, he's going to struggle, especially in his younger years.
I think that
these little guys.
He will. Guys. He was an 18-year-old kid that, it's not that he hasn't been in the weight room. His just body's young, right? And so I think the physicality was different for him. What they allow in our league, they're not going to allow in the NBA in terms of pressure in the ball.
Well, he was in the international, the European league, same thing or what?
Yeah, similar thing. But I think at the end of the day, and he's playing guys his age, right?
True.
So I think at the end of the day, Egor is one of the best passers, if not the best in the draft. One of the best passers in the country. He's legit 6'9", right? He's super unselfish. He wants to make those, the NBA, can you make a pocket pass as a point guard, or can you make a skip pass? He can do all that, right? And can you make a lob pass? He can do all those things. So it translates, right? He started off last year shooting the ball well, and then he just went through a slump. For whatever reasons. It could be shot selection, could be fatigue, could be his knee, coming back from his knee injury. It could be your mind. Just a little bit of everything.
Oh, hey. Shooting, especially from three, that's a different.
Yeah, and so that's part of the experience.
At the end of the season, it came back.
Because that's part of the experience. I've done this before. True. Right? I've made these shots. So I think that, then he goes in his pro day and he lights it up, right? He just lights it up because he's a good shooter. He's a better shooter than his numbers say. And when he's taking the right ones, when he's, and so anyway, so I think that, whoever drafts him, he's got to be the right team where he's going to come in there, be around a good locker room, a veteran that can put him under his wing. But he was a joy to coach. He is everything that's great about BYU and the mission. He still embraces BYU to this day. The dude went to he went to football games, soccer games, volleyball games, women's basketball games, and he was just all in while he was here. and just a pleasure to be around. So he's a kid you want in your locker room.
And we as fans see that too. And I loved during the football games seeing all your basketball and recruits down there in the end zone.
Yeah, it's a big deal to us. First of all, it's a lot of fun.
It is.
Right, those games are.
You can tell the kids were having fun.
I love it, man. When you're on the field, you're looking up, and I don't know how many. It was 70,000, whatever it is, 66,000. It's an incredible atmosphere, but. We love that time. We get bummed when we start season because it's like, we can't go to the football games as much because you're traveling.
Man.
Yeah, we love going to football
games.
But,
I call it the ROC, whatever. Those kids, and, I can call them kids, but the young students that are down in the stadium or at your basketball court, they are all in.
They're all in. One of the best fan. I've been played and coached a lot of different venues. Like I'm telling you, the ROC is as good as it gets. They're
even your Dukies.
Even the Dukies, just because Duke is smaller, right? I think it's
but they're rabid.
They're right there. They're crazy. They're jumping around. But like BYU is like, you got the ROC. There's like 7,000 of them, all in their white jerseys, and they know everything, and they're synchronized, and they got every gadget out there trying to confuse the players or make them miss free throws. Like they're electric.
And it's just funny.
They love basketball. They love basketball, which is great. Right. This state loves basketball, right? And so they're smart, right? And so. Anyway, it's a great, like sometimes you just stand out there. It's like, holy cow, man, this is like, you don't get this every day. Right?
Was it, all right, again, a fan speaking, Mike, when AJ Dybantsa comes out, and what a kid, you can tell he's thriving on it. We're thriving on it. And then he gets up in the ROC and he's rolling with them too. I was just mad that he didn't run up and down my, row.
Another kid, again, during the recruiting process, you got to find the right kids, right? Like, we want to upgrade talent. We'd love to get like a top 5 kid, but it's got to be the right kid, right? And so just getting to know AJ, we knew right away basketball-wise, he's going to fit in right away, right? And what we're trying to do, help us win. But like, if you meet him and his family, you're like, oh, this is a great kid. Like, this is another type Egor, or, this kid's all in. The way he's embraced BYU, the way he's embraced BYU's mission, the way he's embraced the fan base, like even at the little promotion thing they did yesterday, for our he's there taking pictures of everyone. He's loving it because at the end of the day, they're still kids, and he's loving it. He's got no arrogance. No arrogance.
It feels totally sincere.
Yeah, it's sincere.
It doesn't feel like he's marketing. It feels like he's sincerely loving what he's doing.
He's got a lot of humility, but like he's also confident.
Sure. You have to be confident.
You have to be confident.
Right.
But he also, like, he's got some good humility, and he's been he's got good parents.
Right.
And they've really done a good job.
But they're Celtics fans. I'm kidding.
I think that's just based on where they grew up, right? We'll see in the next year who they're cheering for next year. But
maybe Danny Ainge is going to convert him to the Jazz.
Phenomenal. But we're excited about it. Obviously, he's super talented, but he's also another really, really good kid that's come in here from the first day in our workouts and our live play, just like making the right play the way Egor tried to do. Mm-hmm. So you watch his Instagram and the highlights, and you see these things. It's like, oh my gosh, man, look at him score. But I'm telling you, man, he's as good of a passer as he is a scorer. So like after the first live scrimmage we did, him and Richie and Keba were on the same team. It was actually really fun to watch. Richie afterwards was like, man, I've never had so many open shots.
Really?
Right? Just because of playing.
Because they're overplaying.
Well, you got Keba putting so much pressure on the rim by rolling, so you're kind of sucked into that. And then you have AJ at 6'8", 6'9", coming off a screen, making pinpoint passes, drawing a lot of attention the way Egor did. And it's like, all right, you want to stay with Richie? He's getting to the paint. All right, you want to stay with Richie, but overhelp with Keba? All right, you're at the rim, right? So it's a fun way to play. And obviously there'll be different game plans and styles, but when you got those three guys on your team, you got a chance every game.
Man, Chris. I'm and we haven't even gotten to football season.
Yeah, that's right.
You're getting me all excited about basketball.
Yeah, which is great, right? It's we still got a lot of work to do, as does every team in the country, but we love the pieces we have. Keep going back to that, but we love the pieces we have. Now it's our job to kind of put them in the right place and coach them up, get them to play together, get them to buy in.
Where do we go? I mean, I wanted to ask you questions. For example, you said Kennard is Moo.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Burge.
You're Burge.
Yep.
Okay. I was Lace.
Were you? Yeah.
So Burge.
Yeah, Burge. Burgess. Started when I was younger. I was Big Burge. My little brothers were Little Burge. Now it's just Burge. Literally the only person who calls me Chris is my wife. If I hear Chris, I don't actually respond to it. It's Burge. Everybody,
I like that.
Yeah, everything's Burge. For my teammates.
Coaching staff. How about
coaching staff?
Kids are calling you Coach?
Coach Burge.
Coach Burge.
Yep. Coach Burge.
I don't know if you know Kelly Papinga.
Yeah.
All right. They call him Coach Pop or T-Pop or you know. I love these names.
Yeah. So when I was at Duke, my assistant coach who recruited me and was there my 2 years was Quinn Snyder, the jazz coach.
Yes.
Right. And so he was Coach Q.
Okay.
So everyone called him Q. Coach Q.
Coach K is so much easier than Krzyzewski. We can pronounce, but
it was Coach.
When
you're that, it's just Coach, right? You don't even have to say Coach K or Coach Krzyzewski, but I always called him Coach Q, Coach Q, Coach Q. So when I got into Coach Q was one of my favorite coaches to ever play for in terms of assistant. He just was always there for you and said the right things. When you're the ups and downs, there was something about his voice and the way you felt, right? Which is when I got into coaching. Mark Pope was one of my first coaches I worked for. He was like, I want you guys to remember one of your favorite coaches and why, and try to take on some of those traits and personalities. And so Coach Q is that guy for me that I right away was like, I had some great assistant coaches, don't get me wrong, but Coach Q was one of my favorites that I spent a ton of time with that I try to draw on the way he coached me and coached everyone, right? And so so for them to call him Coach Q and me to call Coach Burge, I take a ton of pride in that.
I love that. And frankly, I mean, being a member of the church, even though we were converts, you have all these experiences in youth and everything.
Yeah.
I really have to admit that my most influential mentors, and my mother was divorced, and so I didn't have a father, but they were my coaches.
Yeah, no doubt, because you're with them all the time, and you want. I mean, you might probably like me. I'm a pleaser, right? And you want to play well, not because you just want to play, but you want your coaches to feel a certain way about you and praise you, right? Now they're going to get on you, they're going to jump you, they're going to coach you hard, but they're meant to, but we respected that, no doubt, especially these older generations. But yeah, I would say that I'm just like you, a lot of the living coaches that I still have, and there are a lot of them. I still talk to them, I still text with them, I get text messages all the time from them, and there's this mentorship they had towards me. And they played a huge part in my life and the way that, honestly, the way that, I'm raising my family, right? Or I coach my players because of the impact they had on me, good and bad.
No, and we learned from that. You brought up adversity.
Yeah.
And I'm sure adversity. So, all right, I'm going to give you, we're running out of your time.
Yeah.
There's so many things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Xavion and how he looks like, to me, a tall, thin guy maybe isn't there. But then he looks more like Kevin Durant, where he's strong.
Yeah.
And
obviously he was a big name, big recruit coming to high school. He's his vertical approach straight up. We actually just did this NBA combine testing. His vertical where he's just straight up under the rim or he's going straight up, no approach. It's top 15%. We top 15% in the last 10 drafts. The kid's so long and he's so athletic and he gets up so fast, quick. We're Keba's a little bit lower, but now on approach, Keba is top 3% in the NBA combine, right? So first of all, Xavion he can fall back on. He's an elite rim protector. He's a lob threat, and he's so stinking long out there. The strength bar's got to come. It'll come.
I mean, he doesn't look weak though.
He's not weak. He's one of those guys because I'll go in there with the pad and kind of put a body on him. I outweigh him probably by 30, 40 pounds. And he's got these long elbows where I'm oh man, not one of these guys, right? So you're always getting cracked by one of his elbows.
Bill Cartwright used to,
because he's always moving like this. But he's really long, dude. He's a worker. He's a sponge. He hasn't been playing the game very long. Great parents, great family. Yeah, I think he started 9th grade. So he's
where is he
still
from?
Learning. Vegas.
Okay,
yeah, from Vegas. So he's one of those guys that's man, when the weight room. And the strength conditioning is going to be just as important as the player development and the basketball side. It just is. Because the stronger you get, the kid is going to be, he's going to be really, really good. But he's got some steps to take in terms of his strength conditioning. And he's talked about it. He understands I got to get in really, really good shape because, big guys, we get tired easily. So he's one of those guys who come on, man, let's go. One
thing the fans don't realize is that the big guy has to run from baseline to baseline. You know?
Yeah.
And those guards, they're just going from 3-point line to 3-point line. It's easy for them.
It's definitely a different condition. I remember, especially overseas, when switching 1 through 5 became, when I was a player, became like a thing. Like when I was growing up, we just guard your big. Boom. My condition is back to the basket, guarding them. But like guards got to work too now. But you're right.
Oh,
the bigs got to go from rim to rim. And then they got to run out and guard a ball screen. But the thing that's hard about the bigs is like you're playing for everything. Dig, you don't get there's a rebound. Come on, bigs.
It's like being a goalkeeper in soccer.
You're playing for everything. So you got to have some tough skin. You got to let stuff just kind of wash off your back really quick. But you got to praise him. You got to throw him some bones every now and again. You got to praise him.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, if he's sealed his guy off like Fousse, you know, I mean, reward him.
Reward him. Or if he's open, throw it up there. Because Keba's biggest thing is like, are you looking for me? Like he's fine if he doesn't touch the ball, right? Because he loves his job. But if you turn, like if he's open for a lob and it's like the third time you don't throw it to him, like that's when it's like, guys, just throw it up. Even if it's a bad pass, and he will recognize they're looking for me, even if he doesn't convert it, right? And so that you got to throw him. You got to throw him a bone because they're working their butt off. You got to reward them a little bit.
I was thinking when you were talking about the team chemistry. It was fun for me to see. It was against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And Dawson Baker had that terrible offensive foul, you know, where he took his midsection into
it's tough. It's a tough rule.
It was a really tough rule.
Yeah, the NCAA is looking into that to just see how they can change. I don't know if it's change the rule or better understand, make it the wording a little bit different. Because according to the wording, it is the right call. That was a tough play for us, tough momentum breaker because we lost the ball, we lost the timeout, and then we just lost a guy who was getting busy all game.
Agreed.
Right? So that was
and
tough.
Getting busy all game, and you got to love his attitude because there was a video of him in the
how cool was that?
It broke my heart.
Yeah, totally.
And yet I felt joy.
Yeah, but like that was like, I mean, he didn't even know it was in there, right? Because all these, you know, the social media and all the content creators, things like that, which is awesome, but they're setting up everywhere. And so they were set up in there before he even got there and they just captured it. But you're watching it and it's like, man, that like he could have his head in his hand. Exactly. He's a kid that like is dying to win, wants to play again.
He was rooting for his teammates. And he was the guy who was one of the guys leading the charge for that.
It was a great game
for that victory. It was a great game
for him. And we were riding him. We were milking him. And so to lose him, like I said, it was that changed momentum. Fortunately, they missed the last shot, fortunately.
Well, you said something about adversity.
Yeah.
You had to go through adversity last year to really – what does adversity mean to you you personally or as a team, as a coach, as a mentor to these men?
I think adversity is like when things don't go your way and there's a ton of frustration that comes upon you. Right? How are you going to handle it? Like, how are you going to handle the frustration? How are you going to handle whatever it is in life, the team, your players? You know, I work with the bigs, and if they're not playing well, if they're not doing certain things that you're working with every day, how are you going to handle that? Are you going to be like, these, you know what I mean? Are you going to get mad? Or are you going to you just get back in the gym with them, get back in the film room? When you put together a scout, right, and that scouting report is not going the way you had hoped, how are you going to deal with that adversity, right? And so I think it's our ability to, I mean, this is what the church talks about all the time, right? To our ability to kind of absorb this frustration and what are we going to do with it, right? Are we going to just go right through it? Are we going to be positive about it? Or are we going to let it affect you and kind of show our palms of our hands? I talk this all the time with my kids. Are you going to show the palm of your hands or are you going to play harder, right? And so that's, for me, that's kind of adversity. When things don't go your way and there's a ton of frustration, how are you going to handle that?
You brought up something really interesting to me because as a coach, I like to be more laissez-faire.
Yeah.
And maybe how Kalani Sitake love and learn, humble and hungry. But there were times when you almost wanted to get mad, you know, like, hey, kids, we taught you that. What happened? Yeah. How do you, because obviously when a coach gets mad, I never saw John Wooden get mad. Yeah. James Harrick said that John Wooden in a practice could get mad. So tell us about that versus.
Well, I'm like you just talked about, like I'm a love them up. I'm a 3-to-1 ratio with 3 positive things, 1 teaching thing, 1 critical thing, right? I'm always that way. That's just my nature. I'm comfortable with that. I'm a very non-contentious guy, but I have a holster of like 8 bullets that I try to save for the year, and I'm gonna use them at some point. But it's got to be the right time. It can't be every time because they'll tune you out. And maybe that's after a loss. Maybe that's after whatever it is, right? And so there are times where you have to. But if you built the relationship with them and you've built their trust, then you can coach them. But if you're just there from 2 to 4, your office hours are closed, and then you try, they're just going to tune you out. It's not my era, right? It's not our generation where they're going to coach you. They're going to yell at you all the time, right? You have to build and you have to connect.
Coaching has changed, and maybe it's our culture of our and it almost feels like it's better today.
It is, it is. It's there's a lot more findings now, right? Like these kids thrive off a positive influence, a positive coaching, but they also want to be coached. They don't want to be lied to. They want to be told the truth. And like our generation, right? Like if a coach said something, you believed him because there was nothing at your fingertips to fact check it. So like there was no like you couldn't call them out, right? You just like, and it's like our parents too. It's like this. Okay, yeah, okay. I got to do that because if I don't, I'm going to run forever. Right? Or I believe that. But now it's like, Coach, man, that's wrong. He averaged this. Or Coach, what are you talking about? I just looked that up.
What would have happened if you did that to Rick Majerus?
Oh man, you'd be running a lot. You'd be kicked off the team, but you'd be running a lot with some laced words in between. But I think so. Like you have to be honest with these kids. You have to tell them the truth, and what you say, you better mean. Right, you better mean it. When you do that,
they
it's
can
magical.
Tell sincerity,
they can tell, man, and they can tell that like you care about them, and then you can coach them. Whether it's like love them up, whether it's coach them hard, whatever it is, you can coach them. But you better build a relationship with them, right? Or it's gonna be a long season. So I think that's the difference, right? But Majerus, you didn't really build a relationship with your head coach. He coached you during those times, and you went there because of that. You wanted to be coached hard, but you respected him, right? And you played more fear in the gym, right? There was a lot of fear in the gym, but you played hard because of that fear. Where I think like we as coaches every day talk about like, man, we want joy in the gym, right? Like bump the music, get this thing going. Like we need to have a lot of fun. Like we need to clap it up. Because joy brings energy, right? We want energy and juice and joy in this gym. That's the difference, right? Where I remember when I was a coach, when I was a player at Utah, you get to practice a little early. You didn't know when Coach Majerus was going to pull up. He'd always pull up right to the Huntsman. He wouldn't park in the parking lot. He'd pull up right to the door, and he'd walk down. You'd be getting shots up with the manager, with an assistant coach, and kind of going through it. You didn't have to see him. You felt him when he walked through that door. Because the staff would change, the managers would change, the players would change, and now everything became 150 miles an hour because the fear entered the gym.
That was fear. That's interesting.
Fear. Where, I mean, now like I play for coaches like we're coming in and they're blowing their whistle and they're playing the music and they're throwing the football around. They're just doing different things, right, to connect with these kids, these players, and it's the right thing to do. I think it's one of the brilliant things to do out there is to bring juice and bring joy to the gym.
That's a beautiful thing. And it aligns with everything our BYU organization or the church, the sponsoring organization. Chris, I could sit here for another hour and hear your stories. And you've got children that are thriving in sports, basketball, volleyball, your daughters. What would you like to share with Cougar Nation as far as your story? What makes you you? What are some of the things that are most important to you that you're enjoying the most?
I think the biggest thing for me and why I love being back at BYU is everything that BYU represents, the mission of the school, the togetherness, the all-in mentality, the love one another. It's just everything I've tried to be as like not just a coach, but as like a parent of 5 kids, as a husband to my wife now of 20-something years. Right, it's everything that like that is me, right? Like I'm all in on that. I think that like when I come to work, when I recruit people, or I go to work, like man, the mission is huge to me. The mission of this BYU place is huge to me. I want to follow it. I want to find kids that want to be a part of it, and I want to win because of it, right? And that's everything I'm trying to do with my family, whether we're doing a come follow me lesson, or I'm watching my kids play sports, or I'm flying out to a volleyball game, or I'm going to watch my boys play basketball. Like I'm their dad, right? I'm not their coach. I'm their dad, and I want to support them and I want to be with them. I have a wonderful wife, right? She was a former athlete, played soccer in college, and the sacrifices she's had to make, not just as a coach's wife, but as a player's wife, right? Because for 11 years we lived overseas, and you
said she wrote a book.
Yeah, she wrote a book. She wrote memoirs of being a coach's wife, a player's wife overseas, what that's like. She wrote it for our kids. And
what countries did you play in?
I played in Ukraine, Poland, Turkey. Abu Dhabi's a city, but the UAE, the Emirates, right, which is Dubai and Abu Dhabi, Puerto Rico, Australia, South Korea, the Philippines, Dominican Republic. So I played everywhere. So she's been everywhere.
She's been everywhere.
Yeah, and there's everywhere you go, there's stories. Right. And then as a basketball player overseas, right, like you're the focus.
That would be an interesting.
Yeah.
Those stories of how do you fit in Abu Dhabi versus Puerto Rico?
It's little things like we had our third child, Ava, in Turkey. That's a story, right? She got locked out of a place in Turkey with this is a long time ago, right? With no phone because she left the phone in there. I'm on the road. She's got a 50-pound dog. No one speaks English. She can't get into the apartment. She's got those stories, right? What that's like. So anyone who's lived overseas understands the things we take for granted as Americans living in this country. And she writes down these stories, and we all have stories. And she 7 years ago decided, man, I want to write a book. And so she's been working 7 years. She just released it. It's called Behind the Bench by Lisa Burgess. You can find it anywhere, right, on Amazon. But she did a phenomenal job. I read through it. The biggest compliment that she can get was our daughters are now older, right? And my eldest daughter, who's 20, almost 21 years old, finished the book. She doesn't remember a lot of the stories. So she wrote my wife a long letter basically thanking her, right, for the sacrifices and how strong she is. And she gets, from her, we're like, that's why she wrote the book, right? But, everyone that's kind of picked it up and read it, it's just, there's a lot of fun stories. And if you know our family too, there's really a lot of fun stories. But I'm super proud of her. She's the best. She sacrifices a lot so that I can chase my dreams and help provide for this family. But if you want to be a good coach or a good player overseas, you better have a supportive a wife who understands sacrifice.
And to be honest, it was a year ago I was invited to go to one of the practices.
Yeah.
So that was a joy. I mean, Ryan Smith was just sitting over here and other much, much, much larger donors than me. And then we got to meet you and your team, and Coach Young, the new Coach Young. And what impressed me as an ex-athlete and as a fan is, I don't know, you can tell when an athlete comes up to you and says, hi, Mr. Lacey, or whatever. It felt to me like they wanted to say hi. Yeah. That it wasn't like, hey, cool, I got to get to the locker room. And so your culture on this team that you're developing, even more now, is exciting. But the sacrifices that you and your wife have made, the travel that you have to do, it's amazing.
It is a lot of fun. We miss it, right? We miss the chaos of packing up every single year, not knowing where we're going in the off season, and you miss it. But we've been able to throw ourselves into these players that you get to coach and be around, these programs you get to be around, these people, this coaching staff, and it's been just as fun. It's just a little easier with the travel.
But it was a year ago that I said, Mr. Burgess, I have to.
Yeah, that's right.
I remembered your story.
Yeah.
And you're so busy because you're a coach.
Yeah.
You're a father.
Yeah.
You have daughters who play NCAA volleyball at different schools. And so your travel schedule, and so obviously your wife too. Yeah. Thank you for being with us. Thanks for being a mentor to these young men that are on your team. Yeah. Thanks for being part of BYU. Yeah. And thank you for what you've shared.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we were able to make this happen, but this was a lot of fun. I love talking the game. I love talking stories. I love talking BYU. I love talking all that stuff. So this was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching another episode of Beyond the Game. Remember to click here to subscribe and click here to watch our recent videos. Also, please follow us on social media. And remember, go Cougs.